deal, and that's really the best way that government can work. So welcome, everyone. I'd like to do a few little housekeeping things, and that is that I want to be sure that everyone always has a seat and stays in their seat, or at least move around quickly. Please don't block the aisles. Side conversations can be picked up by microphones, so you want to be remembering that if you're talking off on the side. The other thing is, this is Monday night, but it's not Monday Night Football, so we ask that you not be applauding or cheering or booing. And again, this evening I'll be asked that any signs pro or con on issues be kept down once the meeting starts. That's a courtesy to everyone, so thank you. We'll hope that you'll have your signs visibly not visible, okay? Not across your chests. It is a distraction, and I appreciate just having them down. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
And electronic devices in a silent mode.
Well, I would hope. All right, we're going to get started. I'll call to order this evening's meeting of the June 24th Salem City Council. Actually, we start tonight with the Urban Renewal Agency, and the meeting will be called to order. And will the recorder please call the roll?
Board Member Bennett.
Here.
Board Member Tessler.
Present.
Board Member Nanke.
Here.
Board Member Clausen.
Here.
Board Member Dickey is absent. Board Member Thomas.
Here.
Board Member Bernards.
Here.
Board Member Clem.
Here.
Chair Peterson.
Here. Thank you. Will you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We do have a need to approve the special meeting agenda. Member Bennett, would you like to introduce that, please?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I move approval of the special meeting agenda with the addition of item 4B, which is on our additions, deletions, and revision sheet.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved by Member Bennett, seconded by Member Nanke, to accept the additions to the agenda. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you. We have an action item, and I believe it needs to be introduced or an announcement made about item 4A. We have public comment first about that. All right. We have one person who's signed up, Alex Sanchez. Mr. Sanchez, would you like to approach the podium? You'll have 3 minutes. At the end of 2 minutes, the amber light comes on. And at the end of 3 minutes, it's the red light. Welcome. Thanks for coming down tonight.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Is that
Be sure you get up close enough.
okay? Is that okay now? Okay,
I think
thank
that's
you very
good.
much. I have been asked by my colleagues on the Friend of Two Bridges committee to come in and speak in support of the Minto Island Bridge. So I'd like to make a few comments regarding that. Pedestrian bridges symbolize connection. They directly join people, places, and things that would otherwise remain isolated. The Minto Island Bridge and Trail will put Salem on the same category with Portland, Corvallis, and Eugene, cities that are all well known for their interconnected bike and hiking trails. It sends a message to businesses, travelers, and potential residents that we too are a community that values active lifestyles and good health. Having a trail that is just steps away from downtown that connects 3 major parks is also a key selling point for organizations and associations that are looking for a place to hold their next conference. This bridge can be much more than a means of crossing the slough. Granted, it may not become a landmark like the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, the Ponte Viejo in Florence, and the Charles Bridge in Prague, all of which I've crossed, by the way. And it won't be equal to the Sundial Bridge in Redding, California, that has attracted tens of thousands of visitors since it opened in 2004 because of its unique design. But just as the Sundial Bridge links the north and south campuses of Turtle Bay Exploration Park and serves as the downtown entrance for Redding's extensive Sacramento River Trail system, our Minto Island Bridge can serve as an important link that could help turn our railroad bridge into an equally important tourist destination. The Friend of Two Bridges are solidly behind the Minto Bridge and Trail project and are committed to raising $400,000 for this landmark signature project. During the last 15 months, we've been active in educating Salem about the advantages of the project. These have been in cooperation with many businesses in town. We've put together a fundraising plan, and several individuals have already signed to support. So this plan includes soliciting major donations and so forth. In summary, we support the staff recommendation to move forward with the Minto Island Bridge. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We appreciate your comments. Before you leave the podium, Mr. Sanchez, do councilors, board members have any questions of Mr. Sanchez? Councilor
No.
Tesler? No? Oh, you're just adjusting your microphone. All right. Okay, well then I guess you're free to go.
Thank you again.
Thank you for coming. Appreciate that so much. All right, we have an action item, and I believe we have a motion from Member Bednarz. All right.
You want me to read the motion?
Yes, please.
I move that that we authorize staff to expend up to $500,000 of the Riverfront Downtown URA funds to proceed with the final design and permitting of the Minto Island pedestrian and bicycle bridge, and to submit necessary permits to construct the project.
Thank you. Is seconded? All right, it's been a motion by Member Bednarz and seconded by Member Clem. Any comment? Yes. Member Tesler, and then Member Nanke, and then Member Clausen.
Thank you. I'm going to recuse myself from this vote by the nature of my work, which has to do with this project. So I will not be voting. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Nanke?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I thought I heard 500,000 in the spoken motion,
Up to.
whereas this is 550,000 is staff recommendation. So if you want to just clarify by saying staff recommendation, that would be
Staff recommendation.
a wonderful thing.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And Member Clausen, did you have a comment?
Same comment, thank you.
Oh, all right. Fine, thank you. Everyone's catching things right away. That's good. We need all help we can get. That's great. All right. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We have one public hearing this evening in the Urban Renewal Agency.
Mayor, I'm sorry, we have the addition of item B.
Oh, all right.
Yes.
Thank you. Member Bennett, would you like to introduce item 4B?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I move resolution number 13-A for the Urban Renewal Agency.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Member Bennett and seconded by Member Clem to move staff recommendation. Is there discussion? No discussion. All right. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay. Public hearing will be introduced by the city recorder.
Yes. The Urban Renewal Agency will now hold a public hearing to receive testimony on the budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2013, as approved by the Urban Renewal Agency Budget Committee.
All right. Member Bennett?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move adoption of the fiscal year 2013-14 Salem Urban Renewal Agency budget.
Second.
It's been moved by Member Bennett and seconded by Member Thomas. We do not have anyone who signed up. All right. Any discussion? Any questions of staff? All right, then we'll proceed to the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. All right. That will bring to the end the agency meeting, and we are adjourned, but stay in your seats, and we'll begin our city council meeting. Okay.
Shepherd design. I got you on my list.
One of our counselors is home ill this evening, but she's going to be attending by telephone, so if you'll excuse us just a moment while we try to get the electronics put together. Counselor Diana Dickey will be joining us on the phone.
Sounded like a British ambulance.
Mayor, I think Counselor Dickey wanted to be present for the public hearing, and so we can work and make sure we establish contact
Okay.
with her and go ahead and start the meeting.
Okay, we'll go ahead and do that then. All right, I will formally open this meeting of the Salem City Council for June 24th, 2013.
Counselor Bennett?
Here.
Counselor Tessler?
Present.
Counselor Nanki?
Here.
Counselor Clausen?
Here.
Counselor Dickey is absent at the moment. Counselor Thomas?
Here.
Counselor Bernards?
Here.
Counselor Clem?
Here.
Mayor Peterson.
Here. Thank you. We have additions and deletions to the agenda. It's all right. You're multitasking. All right, Counselor Bennett, do you have a motion regarding additions, deletions, and revisions?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I move approval of additions, deletions, and revisions.
Second.
It's been moved by Counselor Bennett and seconded by Counselor Bednarz to accept the additions, deletions, and revisions. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We now have time for council comment, and I'd like to open the comment this evening by recognizing two longtime city department heads, managers, who've each in their own right really put tremendous thumbprints on the city and on the city of Salem and on the community by virtue of the work that they've done. I'd like to first recognize Vicki Harden-Woods and tell you a little bit about Vicki, whom we affectionately call her Vicki. Some people call her Mrs. Woods, but we're very informal here, I must admit.
It would be Ms. Woods.
Ms. Woods, oh, a liberated woman, fine. Vicki Harden-Woods started at the City of Salem on July 8, 1996, and she has directed Salem's 95-person Community Development Department since 2003, with responsibility for building plans and inspections, permit applications, land use planning, compliance services, neighborhood enhancement, and the City of Salem Library. Vicki is a member of the American Institute of Certified Planners and has been a professional planner for 33 years, including work in Bellingham, Washington, Helena, Montana, and for the past 17 years here in Salem, Oregon. And as mayor, I want to say a special note of appreciation to you. When a new mayor comes in to office, probably the one department that might be the greatest mystery is the planning department. And Ms. Woods always made sure that I was prepared for meetings and that if I had any questions, that either she or staff was available to assist me. And I want to say a sincere thank you for that, because it truly helped me to do my job, and that helps the entire community and the council. Thank you so much for so many years of really dedicated and diligent service. We're going to miss you tremendously. Would you like to say a few words?
Vicki Harden-Woods, your Community Development Director.
No donuts on our last week.
I've appreciated very much working here at the City of Salem. I've been going through my office and cleaning it out, and the long list of projects and things I've been involved in is surprising to me, and the accomplishments that this community has made in the past 17 years is impressive. And the land use planning in the City of Salem is important. And we had some really good planners way back when we planned our downtown and did the urban renewal projects. We have open space and strong neighborhoods, and so I have my fingers crossed that it's going to continue to be a priority in our community as you all go on. And thank you very much for the time I've had with you and the opportunities I've had to sit here and answer your questions and provide you with information and try to guess what you might want.
Us too.
Other counselors that would like to speak? Councilor Benars?
I had the pleasure this last Saturday afternoon to have the grand reopening of Fairmount Park, and I was there to cut the ribbon along with quite a few other people. I am thoroughly impressed that projects like this I think is the third park in my ward that has been built over the last couple of years, but I'm thoroughly impressed by the volunteerism that stands up and comes out and does the work, the hard work. In particular, in this particular project, Jim Eglin was there by himself, and he was there with groups of people. Willamette University's football team. I have to thank the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, SCAN, and Victor Dodier, Fairmount Hill residents as well, who've come out. They've got a wonderful fountain pool, not pool, but a fountain that the kids can play in. There's neat interactive jungle gym kind of things. Anyway, just want to say thanks for that. Thanks for the city. Thanks for volunteers. It really makes a difference, and it's a wonderful park up there.
Thank you. Councilor Clem, did you have your hand up?
Yes, I do, Madam Mayor, thank you. Can we still talk about Vicki?
Absolutely.
So I assume there's cake involved here, too.
There
but,
is, right over there.
Yeah, I've been here for 12 years, and Vicki, you've made it an extreme pleasure. So I don't think I could have enjoyed service without you. And West Salem thanks you. 2nd Street, walking friendly, Edgewater, neighborhood mixed-use center. A lot of the ideas and things we kicked around when I really didn't know anything are all coming to fruition. And so the common thread through all of that and where I live and how comfortable my neighbors will be in the future is in large credit due to you. So thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Councilor Tesler?
Yep, coming around the horn on year 7, right behind Dan. Pretty soon I'll be an old timer like Dan too. Old timer, gray beard. So I remember when I first started here, and land use law is a Byzantine process. I mean, it's just overwhelming. You go and you look at these books, and these 3-ring binders are like this, and they have these cases come, and you have to sit there and explain all this different, why it's this way and why you can't do this and why you want to do that, but you can't do that because it's illegal and it'll go to LUBA and da, 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 da. And, Vicki always had time for me, always. And I have a strange schedule, and I cannot get here during business hours quite a bit, and you always had time for me. And I really, really, and Glenn too, always had time for me, and I really, really, really appreciated that because that made the difference. I didn't understand this stuff. My God, talk to me about salmon. Oh yeah, but land use, So I mean, and look at all the great things that we did in Ward 2 with you. Remember the little tiny, the 7 unit per acre thing, and the apartments and the rezoning and all the stuff that happened in Ward 2. And some of that was pretty tough and sticky, but we got through it. And I'd just like to thank you. And I apologize for all the times I got mad too, but that's okay. I just was really happy that you were there with your hand on the rudder. It was appreciated. I don't know how we're going to replace these people. I really don't. I really don't.
Councilor Bennett?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to join the chorus, too. I served on the Planning Commission and as well as on the City Council. And Vicki, I can't tell you how invaluable your service has been, but also your good humor in all of this, because if you don't have a sense of humor about dealing with volunteers who are really trying to catch up all the time, this can be very, very difficult. And you made us, I think, all of us very comfortable with what has been described, I think, just with a very complicated batch of law and very complicated situation and issues. We'll see them. We see them tonight. We see them every night we meet that matter to people's lives and to their pocketbooks, to all of the other things involved as we deal with planning both short and long range. I only wish we'd been able to provide you with, and the community could have provided you with the kind of support that would have allowed you to do additional planning. I think there's so many things left to do, and we have to go at it somewhat piecemeal. But I think one of the things you leave behind, along with Mr. Tosh, is the UDC. I really think that's such a tremendous, I don't think anyone yet understands what a tremendous tool you've given us to work with, and people who take our place over the years, and really appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Councillor Benars.
You stole my thunder, but I agree. I think one of the biggest legacies that Vicki's going to have here is the revision to the UDCs and moving away from SIC codes or standard industrial codes to define what we're looking at and look at the intent and the purpose of the law so that we can modernize the code to fit things like breweries that brew or are industrial at one end but yet are retail at the other end. And that wasn't here. So I still think that the rubber's going to hit the road, and we'll know in the next several years on the revision of the UDC, but I think it's going to be a big legacy of yours. Thank you. Thank you. Neighbor.
Councillor Nanke.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And thank you, Vicki. I'm going on my third community development director now, as soon as you leave. And it was a wonderful day when Vicki moved into that position. I just see so many leave, and it's hard to replace the quality of what we have here, and it's going to get more and more expensive for not quite as good a quality depending on the market that's out there. We're going to have to pay for that quality coming in. Thank you for the years. I look forward to seeing you in Fred Meyer's. And as far as just humor side, Smurfles and Salem Futures.
All right, I have do you like to do rebuttal?
Do I get 10 minutes?
Certainly.
I just wanted to invite everyone. There is a to-do this Friday from 2 to 4 p.m. here in City Council chambers for my retirement. I'd love to have you all here for that, so I'd be glad to. I do have a few things I want to say, but I won't say them tonight.
All right, you'll save them for Friday, but you'll promise Friday? Yeah. So happy to have you here with us tonight, and it's going to be a bittersweet Friday for me, and I know for a lot of the city. Thank you. We have another individual who's been walking around with a big smile on his face ever since he announced that he was retiring. This is very hard to take, you know, but I'll tell you a little bit about Randall Tosh. Randall has served as our city attorney for the city of Salem since September of 2002. He earned his law degree at the University of Iowa in 1990. He became a member of the Oregon State Bar, and he taught legal research and writing at the University of Oregon Law School for 2 years before going into the field of municipal law, where he became a partner in the law firm of Corrigal, McClintock, and Tosh. While there, he served as the city attorney for Coos Bay, Port Orford, Glendale, and Elkton, and he was counsel to the Port of Port Orford and to the Powers Health District. During the last 11 years, Randall has provided counsel to the City of Salem and to our Urban Renewal Agency and to the Salem Housing Authority. A few of his many accomplishments are the legal work on the Salem Convention Center, the Sanyo Panasonic installation, the Mill Creek Industrial Park Urban Renewal Plan, and a complete overhaul of the Uniform Development Code. These are but a few of his outstanding accomplishments. He is known to be a stickler for exact writing standards. Many in the city can attest to this because their documents have been Randallized at least once during their career. Attorney Tosh, dear Randall, I want you to know as mayor, it's been a tremendous comfort to me that you have been at my right hand all during the last 2.5 years. And also at times when I've called you, I don't know how you always pick up your phone like that and you know it's me. There must be some special code. So you're psychic. But Mr. Tosh has always been able to give me a very quick and a very clear answer with regard to legal questions, and also has given me some tremendous advice to help me as I have sometimes waded through some issues in the community or issues within the city, and even issues within the city council as we sometimes change our rules or our behaviors or our patterns. I want to thank you sincerely for the work that you've done and for your openness to me, your support, and your true dedication to the work of the city of Salem. Thank you very much, Randall. Thank you. Thank you.
So do I get my 2 bits in?
Well, I thought maybe we would have a little council comment before you got to have your 2 bits. I'll give you your 2 bits right now.
I just wanted to say one thing, and then you can
All right.
comment, which is I want to say as a city attorney that the Community Development Department has also remained the greatest mystery to me as well.
I'm not sure that I would have wanted to have known that before tonight. Counselors? Counselor Nanke.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's been a pleasure working with you, Randall. The man, as far as parliamentary goes. You know, and now I can say it because nobody else will be able to do it after this. If you just watch Randall and when his eyes kind of go up, you know something's wrong, and think back just briefly onto what we just said, and you'll always be able to come in and make it look like you know what you're doing. Expert guidance, you can tell when we're doing something that's out of the ordinary because that book will start opening and pages will be flying. And just apologize for the councils during your term that have made you want to yank us all out of here and over into another room and say, do you know what you guys just did on the open floor that should have been an executive session? But we learn. We'll have to teach a new city attorney. So someone will be grateful to that which you have given us because of what they won't have to endure.
Councilor Clem.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a picture I looked at the other day of 2 younger men staring at each other over an oath of office. And it just reminds me that over the last 12 years, Randall, there are times when Randall will answer with, "It depends." But there were thousands of times where the answers were all solid. Randall, for the city of Salem, really was very, very effective for the people who live there here in Salem. The adherence to the law, making good law, winning court cases such as the Salem Conference Center. Folks don't know how important this guy has been in guiding the council, but really the entire city government in making us as stable as well legally and financially. So there's 1,000 battles that this guy has fought, and most of us will never know what they were. So I think of Randall as the secret agent. I'm given to understand that you have a thespian character. With your cool demeanor and carefully chosen words, Randall, you've been acting all this time. So could you comment on that?
Yeah, actually, there's a funny story about that. When I was in private practice on the South Coast, I've been there for about a year, and I got a phone call one morning. And this woman came on the other end of the line, and she said, "You don't know me, but my name is Tosca Means, and I'd like you to star in this play I'm putting on at the On-Broadway Theater down in downtown Coos Bay." And I'm like, okay, this is another one of those crazy people that my secretary has let through. So after much back and forth, I finally agreed I would come down and read for the part. And I found out later that the reason that she had called me was that her husband had just inducted me into Rotary the previous day, and she knew that I was single, and she knew that I was an attorney. So because I was single, she knew I had time on my hands, and because I was an attorney, she knew I could act. And that started a long amateur career in theater, which I plugged for the fall. I will be directing Heinrich Ibsen's A Doll's House at the in Kaiser with the Kaiser Homegrown Theater. So keep that on your calendar. Opens in mid-October.
A doll's house.
Wonderful, A Doll's House by Ibsen.
Staff has to remember to email that to us.
That's right. All right. Well, again, thank you, Randall, for all your service. And you're not through tonight until I have the final gavel. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Any other council comments this evening? Councilor Bennett.
Yeah, just very briefly, thank you very much, Randall. I don't know how city government in Oregon, the way we operate, aside from Portland, where everybody's elected and paid, for the rest of us who are volunteers, how we would get this job done without the assistance of an attorney, and certainly an attorney of Randall's quality. It would be absolutely impossible to do, and so thank you very much. It really, the citizens of Salem, and probably us, will never understand how much money, how much time, how much energy has been saved, and how much of their lives have been made easier as a result of good legal advice. And I'm really hopeful we can find someone who is even half as good. So thank you very, very much.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move along to proclamations and ceremonial presentations, and tonight we have one of each. And so I'm going to turn on this portable microphone and move over to the side and invite some people to come up and join me. All right, first I'd like to ask Dr. John Chapala and Graham Morris to please join me here. We're going to be talking about the Mayor's International Council. Welcome, Graham, both of you. Thank you for being here. You know, the greatest success for a new city initiative or an organization can be ensured when strong, capable, dedicated community leaders take the helm and help guide the city through concept design and implementation. In Dr. John Chapala and attorney Michelle Vlach-Ing, we have the perfect partners to carry the vision into practice. That is the Mayor's International Council Commission. Their experiences with cultural organizations like INDUS, India-US organization, the Asia-Pacific Islanders, and other organizations that represent cultural groups across the city from around the world will be a strong base for us to build the Mayor's International Council upon. We've been particularly blessed by guidance and support and encouragement from Graham Morris, who's the executive director of the Salem World Beat Multicultural Institute. And it's really that partnership that is a hallmark for the new Mayor's International Council, because that's exactly what we'll be doing, is building partnerships, reaching out through the community. So I want to say a special thank you both to Dr. Chapala and to Graham Morris. And unfortunately, Michelle Vlach-Ing, attorney here in Salem, wasn't able to be with us this evening. I do have a proclamation to read and to present that has to do with the Salem International Council. Whereas Salem is an international city whose residents have come from countries around the globe and represent many cultures, religions, races, and customs. And whereas organizations and events reflecting these varied aspects of our international city present an important opportunity to learn about each other and to spread understanding and acceptance across the community. Whereas the Salem City Council created the Mayor's International Council on May 13, 2013, to recognize and celebrate the richness and diversity in Salem. The International Council will promote and strengthen friendship and appreciation of cultures between the peoples of many countries and bring greater understanding and experiences to our entire community. The International Council will provide a platform for cultural exchange and opportunities for interactions that enrich the fabric of our mutual understanding and our shared enjoyment of cultures. And whereas Salem hosts a variety of multicultural events in the month of June, foremost of which is the annual World Beat Festival, which is organized by the Salem Multicultural Institute. And now, therefore, I, Anna M. Peterson, Mayor of Salem, do hereby proclaim and celebrate the month of June as International Cultural Awareness Month, and call upon all residents to participate and join in the World Beat Festival and experience for themselves the true joys of living in an international city. And I'm presenting this proclamation to you, Dr. Chapala. That's for you. Thank you for your service, for your dedication to the city, for your assistance as special advisor to the mayor. And to Graham Morris, thank you to you for the support that you're giving to our brand new council. And now I'm going to ask each of you to say a few words.
I really didn't come prepared to say anything much, but I must say it's a privilege and an honor to be able to serve along with all of you here, the city of Salem. And my goal is to really assist the mayor in bridging gaps or building bridges between different international communities here. And we would like to let every single resident within the confines of city of Salem that they are important. And each of them have contributions to make, and they are recognized, not only on a communal level, but on an individual level. And that's what I am commissioned by, drawn into this. And I pledge to do that, and truly, I'm humbled, Madam Mayor.
Would you like to talk about the World Beat Festival?
Sure. I always come prepared to say something. So on behalf of the 1,000 volunteers that it takes to make the World Beat Festival happen, I'd like to say thank you to the mayor and to the city for making this more formal recognition of Salem as an international community, which we are. And please come this Saturday and this Sunday to Riverfront Park and celebrate and explore some of the 65 nations and cultures that will be sharing their heritage. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you both. I have another special guest to introduce this evening, and that is local resident Dr. Patty, and he is here to present to the City of Salem a statuary item, which actually is a bronze fresco on a stand, I understand, we're going to see it in a moment here, represents the goddess of learning, which is a Hindu goddess. This statue was originally presented to the City of Salem in 1967 and has been in Dr. Patty's possession since that time. I understand he believes it should rightfully be with the City of Salem, and so that's why this evening we're having this official presentation. Dr. Patty, would you like to come up and show us that and make the presentation? And I believe we have a guest here with you. So that is certainly a lovely, lovely statue, and I'm humbled on behalf of the city to be able to receive this. I think it's quite generous of Dr. Patty to actually release it back to the city of Salem. It would be hard to part with such a lovely piece. Dr. Patty, do you have some remarks? You want to hold this at the same time here?
It is our honor and duty to return the statue of the goddess Saraswati, which was originally presented to the Salem, Oregon delegation sometime in the 1960s as a part of the sister city relationship between this city and Salem, Tamil Nadu in India. Goddess Saraswati is the goddess, female deity of knowledge, wisdom, art and culture. In this statuette, the goddess is on white swan, and the swan is a lotus. She has 4 hands. In one hand, she is holding a book. The other 2 hands, she is playing an Indian musical instrument called the veena. Signifies veena, something like sitar, symbolizing art and culture. The other hand is a string of beads, meditation. Hopefully, this statuette will be installed either in the city of Salem, right in this council chamber, or in the mayor's office. And let her guide the mayor and the city of Salem to make wise decisions for generations to come. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Well, this is truly a wonderful gift back to the city. I appreciate so much the good care that you gave to it, and appreciate your generous return to the city of Salem. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Okay. I'm going to give people just a second to get adjusted. Any guests in the audience that wanted to leave at this time after the ceremonial part of our meeting, feel free to get up and move around and to do that. We'll take just a second, and then we'll get our meeting back on order. All right.
Yes, and Mayor, we'll be getting Councillor Dickey on the line now.
Oh, good.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
I can fix it.
Okay. I'm going to call our meeting back to order. We're going to begin right where we left off.
Roll call.
Oh, I thought we already did the roll call.
I don't believe so for the council meeting.
For the council meeting? I thought we
Because
did.
we're just going to acknowledge that Councillor Dickey is now on the line.
Oh, so we don't
Yes.
need to call the roll all over again? No. Oh, I see. Okay. All right. Is Councillor Dickey, are you on the line?
Yes, I'm here.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being on the line. We know it's not comfortable sometimes to try to be on the telephone even at home if you're not feeling well. So thank you for being able to be with us tonight. We hope that you get better really soon.
Yes, thanks, and thank you to IT and staff for setting this up so that I could call in. I appreciate it.
Wonderful. Okay. We're at the point on our meeting, actually it's item 2, public comment. And it's necessary for me to do just a little bit of an explanation about public comment at this portion in the meeting. Many of you may notice we have 2 times during the agenda where we have public comment. But public comment at this section is comment on agenda items other than public hearings and deliberations. And I have in front of me quite a list of individuals who've signed up for public comment. Most have not indicated an agenda item, and so I'm actually going to turn to the city attorney for a moment and ask him to specifically describe what items or issues people may be here to comment on, and whether that's going to be appropriate at this point in the agenda, at the end of the agenda, or perhaps not at all. So, City Attorney, can you please explain what we were just talking about?
Right. The council rules say that the point in time that we are in the agenda is for public comment on matters other than hearings and deliberations. And the idea being that you've had the hearing, the time for making comment on the subject matter of the hearing was at the time of the hearing, and then after the hearing has been closed for further testimony, that's the conclusion of that testimony. So that's where you are. So there are 4 hearings on the agenda tonight, state revenue sharing funds and the adoption of the budget, which are new, the unsolicited written materials ordinance, which is old, it's been on the agenda for a number of months, and then also the continuation of the Salem River Crossing preferred alternative.
Okay. So any of those items, if people on this list had intended to speak at this time, this would not be the time for them to speak.
That's correct.
Would they be speaking at the end of the meeting or not at all?
They wouldn't be speaking at all.
Not at all, because we've
purpose-
closed the testimony.
Yeah, that's right. The purpose of the public hearing is to take the input.
Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is to read the name, but if you fall into any of those categories, please just indicate that you'll not be speaking, and we'll move on to the next name. Sarah Owens. I believe I fall into one of those categories. Okay, thank you. Terry Moore. Okay, Jim Shepke.
I believe I fall into one of those categories.
Thanks. Bob Burns.
I feel I fall into one of those categories.
Sarah Demling. All right. Marianne Berry. Oh, sorry. Okay, Mr. Tosh?
Well, which agenda items would they be? Anything that's not under 4. So anything that is a 3, that's available for public comment.
Okay. So would that be you? Yes. All right. Would you like to speak? Sure. Thank you. And you have 3 minutes. At the end of 2 minutes, the amber light comes on, and at the end of 3 minutes, the red light comes on. Welcome.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Councilors and staff. I'm Mary Ann Byrne, and I live in Ward 5. Hi, Diana. Let's see. I got this postcard to let me know about a public hearing to increase my utility bill to help pay for streetlights and road maintenance. And I recently signed a petition against putting parking meters around downtown. We have no bus service on weekends and evenings, so those folks aren't here tonight. People have to come to council meetings to ask that storm drains be installed so their basements stop flooding from rainwater running off their neighborhood streets, and are told that there's no money for that in the budget for 2 years. Do I sound like a nagging wife who keeps saying, "Honey, we don't have any money," especially after he just went out and bought new wheels for his truck on which he's still making payments? So here we have a miserly city government penny pitching every service to the public that they can, but when the business leaders who push growth at any cost show up, the wallet is wide open to pay for engineers and consultants and studies for 5 years of a bridge the public will not vote down, that the public will vote down as unnecessary and a costly project. We are in a recession, and if you haven't noticed, it's not going to end next year. As the growth and build people are known to chant their wishful thinking, they have been reading too many positive thinking success books and haven't looked at the economic indicators lately. Growth had declined in China recently, and there is questioning about whether their rapid growth is going to cause banking problems for all the loans that are owed there. The Chinese stock market went down 6% today, which then dominoed to Europe, where London went down over 2%, which hit the U.S. markets, taking them down 2%, which then eased to 1% by the end of the trading session today. In the end, most analysts were calling it a deleveraging concern. As the computers and robots and production efficiency and globalization of jobs relieve more people of jobs or the prospect of ever finding a living wage job, why do the growth and build people think that some big corporate savior is going to show up in Salem and employ everybody at a remarkable wage so they can buy brand new McMansions? Let me tell you where the recession has stopped and growth is occurring. Marion County farmers had one of their most prosperous years last year, and their success is continuing. I know all you Salem business and government people don't like to be referred to as an agricultural center, but get a grip. Food is necessary. Growing food takes open land. Building empty industrial parks, suburban sprawl, and shopping malls eats up valuable farmland. The Willamette Valley has some of the best farmland in the nation. Farmland makes money because no matter what the economic conditions are, people need to eat. Grow and build business people want to cover this valuable farmland with buildings and kill our economic generator for their individual aggrandizement and personal fortune.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry, I do have to draw your attention to the time limit. Thank you very much. Are there questions from any counselors? We appreciate you coming and your testimony. Thank you very much. Okay, Marianne Barklowski? All right, thank you very much. Cindy Kolpovich? Okay, Evan White?
I fall in one of those categories.
All right, thanks. Eugene Hancock?
A week ago last Saturday, I found a flyer in my door that talked about...
Excuse me, Mr. Hancock, if you'd like to speak at the podium, please, and introduce yourself there. Okay.
This has to do with the bridge project.
Oh, well then we've already taken our testimony for that, so that wouldn't be allowed this evening.
Well, like I said, I got this brochure in the door that talked about a neighborhood association meeting last Monday, which I went to, and another one that said the council meeting was tonight, and if I signed up, I had 3 minutes to get my amendment. So that's why I'm here. I want my 3 minutes to talk about the bridge.
I don't know the source of the flyer that you received or the source of the information on the flyer, but we are following the council rules, and we have closed the testimony on the bridge.
May I ask how long the testimony was conducted? For how long did you conduct it?
7 months.
Well, can you answer that? Several weeks.
We had two hearings before, or 2 sessions before the council, and then the record has been open for written testimony now for 2 weeks. So,
I'm retired, and I went south for the winter for a few months, and I came back and found out that this bridge extension empties into the subdivision that I live in. So quite frankly, through no fault of my own, I haven't had a chance to voice my opinion.
Well, I'm not going to make an exception to the rules, but what I would be willing to do would be if you would like to give us a written testimony. But we are going to be deliberating this evening and making our decision.
I have submitted a letter to you in the packet.
Oh, good. All right, then we do have your testimony already. Thank you very much. I'm going to have to move on to the next person on the list. sorry for the confusion that whoever sent the flyer to you.
Paul passed over my property.
John Gear.
Thank you. I'm John Gear. I live in Ward 1. I'd like to talk about process. There's a great book that I would urge you all to read. It's called Groupthink, and it talks about how groups make decisions and how once they identify the favored opinion and disfavored opinions, they seek disconfirming, or they refuse disconfirming evidence to the opinions already reached, and they insist on inflating the value of evidence that favors the decision they've already reached. I understand that the bridge is a foregone
Excuse me,
conclusion here.
Mr. Gear, we've been very specific about the rules for this evening.
Yes,
We are
ma'am.
not taking testimony nor discussing at the podium from the public about the bridge.
Yes, ma'am, that's why I'm not talking about the bridge. I was just about to say, I'm not here to talk about the bridge. I'd like to suggest for your next ventures that you consider weighting against your A team of staff an opposition team, because good analytical bodies make sure that they hear all the evidence and they seek, instead of refuse to listen to opposition views, they seek to hear them. And I want to suggest that in the future, the city of Salem understand that, like other organizations, it can exhibit groupthink just like everybody else, and that they ought to study tools and techniques that good organizations use to make sure that they hear dissenting views and opposing views, not simply characterize them as opposition. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nancy Baker Croft. Mm-hmm.
Good evening, council members, my friend Warren, and Madam Chairman, Madam Mayor. Is this working? Oh. I'm here today because I had probably been familiar to many of you some years ago. 8 years ago, I stood at this podium in the same portion of this program to be able to bring up a new thing. Why isn't chicken
Excuse me, I'm going to have to call for a point of order.
Why is it
Apparently, you should be signed up for agenda item number 9. Is that right,
Chickens
Mr.
are not on the
Taj?
agenda. What? It said all of the
It
not
switches at the end of the meeting. Thank you very
But
much.
if the matter is not on the agenda, then you should have signed up under agenda item number 9, which is public comment on other than agenda items.
That's what it said at the top of the thing, anything other. And when I was on that list, I mentioned to Mr. Gear that I thought he was on the wrong list because I thought he was here for the bridge. And he said he had another thing to do as well. So that's why I believed I was in the right place.
No, this was 9. You should be on number 9. It's later in the agenda. We'll put you down.
Thank you. Michael Johnson.
There are 4 of us to speak. I'd like to speak for, please.
And the others are signed up?
Yes.
I see Clinton, I see Shirley Braddock? Yes. And then Clinton and Mary Smith. All right. Who would like to go first? Okay. Yeah, you can use either podium, actually.
Madam Mayor?
So welcome, and at the, you can speak for 3 minutes. At the end of 2 minutes, the amber light comes on, and then at the end of 3 minutes, it's the red light. So please introduce yourself and tell us your ward or address.
Clinton Smith. I'm on the border of Ward 3. I'm actually in the county, madam. The reason we're here tonight is because we want to talk to the council members and the city staff in regard to helping us vacate this walkway that runs from Rickey Street over to Munkers. And the reason we'd like to get this done is basically because of the criminal activity that's been happening in this area, and it's affecting basically 6 homeowners. And the criminal activity has basically increased over the years, and it's gotten worse to where we've had, major incidences. We've had to contact Marion County several times, also the city Salem PD. And what we want to do is we believe the 6 homeowners that the answer to this would be to block it off on the Ricky Street side, which is the wall that is north of Ricky Street Plaza. Then what we'd like to do is block it off on our property lines, which is north of that wall. And that way it would basically it would eliminate 99% of the problems that we've been having. It's ongoing. The criminal element, the drugs, the drinking, human waste, people relieving themselves, and we're right there. I mean, the wall itself is no further than that exit from where I'm standing. So this is an ongoing problem. Basically, we need your folks' help to start this process, and we're going to get with the county and start on that end and go from there. It's a major safety issue for all of us. It's a major safety issue for our law enforcement personnel, and basically it just needs to come to an end. We've been dealing with this since 2004. We've just had major incidences this weekend. Started at 7 o'clock in the morning. We have case numbers. Again, we need help. It needs to stop. Nobody should have to live like that, meaning us. Thank you.
Thank you. We really appreciate your testimony. And counselors, just to remind you and to let you know, in our council packet, there is quite a series of photographs of exactly the problems that he's just been describing, the graffiti and the waste and the destruction and the behaviors. So we're sorry that this is a situation, and really appreciate you coming down tonight to testify. I know Councilor Brad Nanke has this on as a councilor motion, and we certainly will be very carefully and diligently looking at this evening. Did you have some others from your group that wanted to testify? Yes, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Mary Smith, and I live at 4190 Munker Street. The walkway, just as you'll see in the pictures, is just unbelievable. We have OLCC problems also there and drugs. But the one thing that I really want to, or several things, is the lighting. We've had to tint all of our windows so that we can sleep at night. We can no longer open our windows in our bedrooms or in any of our back areas because the noise is just all the time. Skateboarders skating out in the strip mall across the wall on the other side. People playing loud music, honking their horns, fighting. We have homeless people that live in the dumpsters on the city side, and they fight and have dogs and bark, and so it's very disruptive. It's very noisy. We have people that pull into our driveway. They'll fill our driveway, and then they fight because somebody else is blocking their driveway. You know what they want to do? They want to walk down the walkway, and they want to go over and get a pack of cigarettes or a beer, or go over and play video games. And then when they're ready to go home, they don't want anybody else blocking their way, but we can't get our vehicles out. So we've had to call law enforcement in several times. And then we have people that do so many drugs that they just lay out there. I mean, one person I'm sure would have died out there had we not called someone to come and get them. And it was freezing cold, pouring down rain, and they were just messed up on drugs. And And then the sad part about it is, I've got a 4-year-old granddaughter, we do, and she goes to play in our backyard. We cannot allow her over by that fence because there's transients, there's teenagers. In those pictures, you're going to see some really good-looking kids, and I'll tell you what, I can tell you stories about every dang gum one of those kids in that photos because they are not that great, and they're disruptive to all of us. The Bradfords and us, my husband and I, we are the ones that take care of that lot. The city sent out letters saying if we didn't keep it clean, it was our responsibility. They would fine us. But yet, we do the mowing, we do the cleanup, we do everything. We cut down the trees so that the people weren't hiding back there, scaring people walking through, hiding from law enforcement. It's terrible, and we need help. We really do.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate your testimony. I'm sorry that you've been living under such a cloud, terrible situation. And there was another person who had signed up. Shirley, yes, please, thank you.
My name is Shirley Bradford, and I live next door to Buck and Mary. Since June 7th of last meeting that we had gone to today, I have 16 pages of a log that I have done on the pictures that you've also gotten, and the case numbers and things of everything that has happened. 16 pages within, what, 2 weeks? There's something wrong. We're tired of putting up with it. We're put up with things that, ooh, like she said, it's unreal. And I have a granddaughter that can't play on that side of the yard either for that reason. We have found needles. We've got homeless. I have a dog that I can't even take on that side of the fence either because as soon as that hits there, I've got people that tease her on that side of the fence, so I can't even take my dog out. I mean, you got to live there to really understand what it's like. Seriously, it sounds weird, but it's true. We have called the county, we've called the city, we've been fighting it, and it's time to close it. It really is. It's getting unlivable, and it's gotten worse by the day. And like she said, this weekend, yeah, we've had to call the police out this weekend, what, 2 or 3 times? Just one day. I mean, this is not good. And I really would appreciate if you'd please vacate it to let us close it, let us fence it, and take care of the issues, because we're tired of living it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Were there questions of counselors for any of the 4 individuals that just finished testifying? Okay. Thank you very much. Yes?
No, sorry. You only had 3 so far, so. Michael Johnson, I am the chairman for the East Salem Suburban Neighborhood Association. I live at 4758 Adobe Street Southeast. Councilor Nanke has a number of documents from us, one of which is one that was provided by the city. It's the comprehensive zone change and conditional use permits from 1998 and 2004. They're 110 pages long. It makes for good evening reading. The initial 7 pages, however, are the ones that are most eye-opening. And they provide a window into planners' concerns in 1998 and again in 2004. They advocated closure of the pathway at that time. The recommendation is given in several times, and it's plainly obvious. For all the admonitions to close the pathway, the October 13th, 2004 final decision, which is page 7 of that document, closure was removed and stricken, and there was no wording requiring the developer to improve the pathway. If you look at other pathways throughout the city, they're paved. This one's dirt and mud. Retaining the pathway is most likely tied to an interpretation of the Transportation Planning Rule, ORS 660, and you can read that in the documents. And it refers to it almost as an absolute and mandated requirement. A citation on page 2 of 110 reads, TPR requires I put that in bold for Commissioner Nanki. Development to provide connectivity. The requirement concept is a fallacy. Though TPR is not explicit, it's obvious that the users, the meaning is safety for the users and safety for neighbors. Planning Commission, planning staff, and the hearings officer all cite safety issues as a primary reason in their judgment for the easement to be closed and vacated. The health of the area surrounding the strip mall, the passageway, and the residential neighborhood, the liquor issues, visibly intoxicated people, mounds of trash, landscaping that provides hiding places for incessant drinking, for the homeless and their cronies, homeless camps nearby, squatters in dumpsters, squatters in bushes, squatters in yards, neighboring yards, panhandling, drug dealing, soliciting intercourse, urination, defecation, farts, graffiti, et al. You get the picture. There is no simple answer, and there is no one answer that will solve the problem. However, we ask the City of Salem and Marion County to work constructively and together to find a workable solution that will help these people and the neighborhood solve this one problem. Closure seemed to be the one that that was spoken of the most. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Were there questions from any counselors? We appreciate you coming down and testifying. Counselor Tesler.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to mention that these pictures are appalling. I mean, they truly are appalling, and I'm very sorry because I live next to a path too, and I think I've lived there for 10 years, and I think I've had maybe 5 or 6 incidences in 10 years. Okay, so when I think about this, the person who says I have this log, you know, I mean, really, and I live next to similar what you live because it goes into a park, but you know, that's just totally unreasonable, and I hope we can find some way to help you. But I have to say those pictures were very appalling. You know, you usually need captions, and you didn't need captions with these pictures, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, you pretty much got the scene, so I'm sorry for you. I mean, that's just unacceptable on a lot of levels, and so hopefully we can help you.
Thank you. Thanks again for coming down this evening. Yes?
Answer for you. Marion County notes, at least Marion County Sheriff notes 60 issues, and I still haven't heard yet from the city how many the city has responded to. Then you multiply that by all the people who get involved, and you know, you're talking a lot of involvement.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. And we do have a motion, as I mentioned, Councillor Nanke's motion, and it does unfortunately happen toward the end of the meeting. But we did want to have this time for your testimony so that if you don't want to wait through the entire evening, you wouldn't feel like you had to. Okay. All right.
Madam Mayor, I would
Yes?
entertain or to bring forth a motion to waive council rules to reorder the agenda. Second.
All right, it's been moved by Councillor Nanke and seconded by Councillor Tesler for a motion to reorder the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Councillor Nanke, would you like to
Yes,
speak?
Madam Mayor, I would
Yeah.
move that Councilor item 10.2A be moved to just prior to consent calendar adoption.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to move the item 10.2A forward to the agenda where it will appear just before the consent calendar. All right. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carries unanimously. All right. Mr. Nanke, would you like to present your motion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's heck having to make 2 motions to get to 1 motion, but I move that city staff review the pedestrian sewer easements and the access gate between the 4200 block of Bricky Street Southeast in Salem and Munker Street Southeast in Marion County, and that staff return to council with a report no later than July 22nd, which includes the following: a summary of the history, current situation, and issues of concern, a description of the options available to the city, county, property owners, and businesses regarding the easements, the existing concrete wall and its opening, pedestrian access and public safety. 3, an assessment of the respective roles and responsibilities of the city and the county in addressing the concerns and options, and 4, a recommendation for future action.
Second.
It's been moved by Counselor Nanke and seconded by Counselor Tessler. Is there discussion?
Yes, if I may speak to the motion quickly. People have seen the photos. I attended a meeting on June 6th. I was invited to attend. We had representatives from Sheriff's Office, Police Department, Public Works from both entities, city and county. We own, not necessarily own, the concrete wall is in the city of Salem. As soon as you pass through that wall, you're in the county, so there's jurisdictional issues. The wall seems to be built on top of our sewer pipe easement. There's issues out there, and I don't know if we know all of them yet. What we do know is that these people have been experiencing a living hell for many years, and we're just aware of it now, and that's, I think, the saddest part. That they didn't know where to turn, and have just had to live with this. They want it closed. I want to see if there's some other options as well, even if you cut the whole wall out of the easement to open it up for people to where there's no place to hide. No matter what, to vacate that would have to go through the county and the city, which will include a period of time where maybe we can try to do something as that process moves forward as well. But I have another 56 photos that were emailed to me last night. And I'll forward those across with some of the other information that Michael had brought forward too, with the documents that were reviewed at that meeting.
Okay. All right. Other counselor comment? All right, there's a motion on the floor to direct staff as per the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, that actually does complete the list of people who had signed up on that list. And we are now at the point for the consent calendar. Counselor Bennett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, I move the consent calendar with the following polls and statements by councilors. Tessler polls 3.30.
Second.
And let me just do these real quick. I just watching the mirror right now. Okay, and Councilor Clausen announces potential conflict of interest on 3.3 F and G, but will be voting on those items. And Councilor Tessler reports a conflict of interest on 3.3K and will recuse herself and not be voting on that item.
Okay. All right.
No?
Yes.
Okay.
That's it? All right. It's been moved by Counselor Bennett and seconded by Counselor Nanke. As per the list that Counselor Bennett just read to you, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you very much. All right. We're now at that point in the evening for the public hearings. We're at 4A. The first is state revenue sharing funds. With the city recorder, please introduce the hearing.
The Salem City Council will now hold a public hearing to receive testimony on the proposed use of state revenue sharing funds by the city, including as an offset against property taxes levied by the city for fiscal year 2013 through 2014.
All right, the public hearing is now open. We have a staff report. Welcome.
Good evening, Madam Mayor Peterson, council members. My name is Christopher Nider. I'm the budget analyst in the City of Salem's budget office. And before you tonight is the public hearing on state shared revenue sharing. It is recommended that the City Council hold a public hearing on the uses of the state shared revenue funds, which are estimated to be $1.46 million for the upcoming year. And following the public hearing, Staff is recommending that the council elect to receive these revenues from the state for the general fund by adopting Resolution 2013-49 in compliance with state law, and the city can certify the 2 public hearings have been held on the possible uses and proposed uses for the state shared revenue sharing funds. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you. We have not had anyone sign up for this public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that did want to sign up for this item and was not able to do so? All right. Then we will. Do I close the hearing now? We'll do the question. All right, we now have time for questions of staff. Are there any questions for staff? Well, seeing none. All right. I will close the hearing. Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you for your report. All right. Councillor Bennett?
Madam Mayor, I move the staff recommendation.
Second.
It's been moved by Councillor Bennett and seconded by Councillor Tessler to move the staff recommendation. Is there discussion? Having no discussion, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Our second public hearing is the adoption of the 2013-14 City of Salem budget. Would City Recorder please introduce this?
The Salem City Council will now hold a public hearing to receive testimony on the budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2013, as approved by the City of Salem Budget Committee.
All right, thank you very much. I will now open this hearing, and we have a staff report.
Yes.
Again, welcome.
Thank you. Madam Mayor Peterson and council members, tonight before you is the Budget Committee's recommendation for the City of Salem's fiscal year 2013-14 budget. Includes $502,927,550, making appropriations as outlined and approved by the Budget Committee on June 3rd of 2013. The City Council is asked to hold a public hearing and deliberate on the budget as recommended, and then following that hearing, adopt the budget as outlined in the staff report. And if you have any further questions, I can answer them at that point in time.
All right, we have one person who is signed up to testify, and then we'll come back for questions of staff. Terry Moore has signed up to testify. All right, and you have 3 minutes, and at the end of 2 minutes, the red light comes on. At the end of 3, it's the red light. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. My name is Terry Moore. I live in Ward 1. I want to request more general fund for 2 programs and less for 1 item. Please restore funding so neighborhood associations can do paper mailings to residents. At one meeting, it was noted that only about 3% of neighbors sign up to receive email notices. Don't know the reason why, but that just is true. If they get something in their hands, they can read it and they can study it, and they have it there as a reminder. Emails get deleted or they just don't access it by computer. Neighborhood associations are a critical part of city governance, and since the council cut the paper mailing budgets, some have a harder time getting a quorum to vote on important resolutions. Second, please restore more of the funding for the West Salem Branch Library so it can remain open to the public for more hours. Third, please also reduce the budget for special events involving the mayor and city council. The budget document states these special payments are for events like groundbreakings and citizen recognition awards. Please consider instead using the monies to increase support for neighborhood associations, mailings, or increased library hours. So it's just basically a matter of moving money. It's not an increase in revenue or anything like that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there questions from any counselors? All right, now we'll turn to questions from staff. Are there questions by any of the counselors for the staff? Well, I see none. All right, I'm going to close the hearing. Councillor Bennett?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move adoption of the fiscal year 2013-14 Cities of Salem budget.
Second.
It's been moved by Councillor Bennett and seconded by Councillor Tessler to adopt the, to approve the staff recommendation to adopt the city budget. Is there discussion? Councillor Bennett.
Yes, Madam Mayor. I really agree with what Ms. Moore had to say. It was something I had thought about and talked with the city manager about bringing up during this cycle, or this portion of the budget process. We agreed that I would wait until later to bring this up after we've had a chance to look at the forecast, get a sense of what our ending fund balance will, sort of where are we, not ending fund balance, but how the cash going, what's happening with the city. But I represent 5 or 6 neighborhood associations, and I just want to second Ms. Moore's comments. I have noticed over the past year, and I mentioned it in other settings, a distinct drop-off in a number of my neighborhood associations' attendance. And I was particularly concerned by drop-off in Highland, because Highland, I believe, over the past number of months, has had substantial interest in council activity and neighborhood activity around the river crossing and others. And I think that without paper mailings, it makes it difficult to kind of make sure this information, that it's going to be talked about. That's really what it's all about at their neighborhood group in that proximity occurs. So, and then we've had a kind of a raft of issues coming forward, and I have felt like the neighborhood groups need to be sort of at their peak. And I think Ms. Moore's point that it's easy to delete emails. It's harder in some cases to even get emails if you don't have the income or the the know-how to use a computer system or an email system. I worry that we may not be including as much of our population. So I do intend to bring this up again. I think she's really hitting on the correct note.
All right, thank you very much. Councillor Clem.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I too want to echo support for the neighborhoods, because it's been a passion of ours all along to create or to cause more civic interaction with council and citizens, and that's done in one way through the neighborhood association. So I look forward to that discussion. I also look forward to the discussion about the magic day when we can figure out funding that allows us to fully open our fire stations. But that's not for today. We haven't concluded that work, and so I look forward to that in the future, because public safety is critically important. I do want to make the comment that I'll be in support of this budget. I am concerned that that I'd like to have more discussion, or at least learn more about the parking tax increase for downtown. I look forward to that, seeing that, or at least understanding that in interaction with staff a little bit more. But I'm concerned that some of the issues in the budget, such as this one, probably deserve a little bit more discussion. I was wondering if Ms. Norris could comment on the parking tax increase that's contained in this budget. We need to pass the budget tonight, so I think we need to support what we have in front of us. But
right, the issue is the downtown parking district fund is funded from 2 primary sources: parking permits, which we feel we're at market, and then a business tax that the businesses pay to provide free on-street and off-street parking, and also provide for various services. The Economic Improvement District pays for some of those, and then the Parking District Fund pays for things like cleanliness, part of the downtown police patrol team, garbage pickup, flower baskets, holiday decorations, security in the garages, and maybe most importantly, maintenance of the parking garages in the downtown district. And so as we've looked at that funding, we've had to, over the last few years, close the gap on the difference between the revenue and our costs by using some of the leasehold rent money. Those are spaces in the parking garages that we lease to businesses. We're not able to do that this coming year because we need to do some common area tenant improvements, especially for American with Disability Act improvements to the restrooms in those facilities. So we have a gap that we have to close, and so the decision that we talked about, it was discussed, not acted on the parking task force. We've discussed it as they looked at the budget with the Downtown Advisory Board, and then had quite a discussion about it during the city's budget committee process, was to increase the minimum parking tax that about half the businesses pay, going from $197 per year to $400 per year. And so we'll bring back more information to council. Councilor Clem has asked me to schedule a time where we can have some additional discussion and just information about that.
All right, thank you. Further comments, questions? Councilor Nanki?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Excuse me, two things. One, wholeheartedly agree with Ms. Moore's comment in regards to mailings, but might I suggest that you reinstate them only for those people who choose to have the mailings. There's several people, I mean, who are electronic componentness, and alarms go off and it tells me where to go. Morningside's board has one member who just chooses not to connect up to the world that way. And so the neighborhood chair actually has to print out everything that comes over email, every notice, and hand deliver it to her neighbor to get that information. So I think we can reduce the financial burden that the mailings used to have just by giving people the option now that the majority who choose the electronic may very well stay on that. Others may not. I know my email scrolls so fast that if I don't move it into a calendar, it's lost. I have to scroll down, 8 pages a day for what comes into my system. And, the hard copy I used to sit on the corner of my counter next to my back door, so I'd remember all week as I was moving out that way before smartphones were alive, that I had a meeting on Wednesday night. So some people need that. It'd be nice to figure out how we can do that. Secondly, this year's budget was fairly painless compared to others. I worry about, with the revenue pretty much remaining flat, the expenditures going up, and how we deal with that in regards to increasing other fees and service costs for the balance of the community, because they're in as bad a shape as we are, income versus expenditure. And we really need to look at that and figure out how we can do things better, cheaper, faster, more efficient, eliminate some that we just can't afford as well. So next year's budget's probably not going to be as nice, depending on what, those above us who mandate some of the services we provide and provide no revenue for those. It makes it difficult as well. So.
Thank you. Councilor Bednarz.
Thank you. This was my first year going through the budget process, and I can tell you there's quite a bit of information to go through. If you've been through the notebooks, you would have known there are 3 notebooks. 2 are actually combined into one, which is about 4 inches thick total, maybe 5. And there's a lot of connections between this point and that point, and over here and up here. And then every year we shift the game. The game gets shifted. The department moves over here, so you don't see the numbers. And I asked a lot of questions in detail. I did not see the one detail about the downtown parking fee. And I would be amiss if I didn't sit here and say it's going to be hard on people in downtown. I'm a big supporter of downtown, and I'd love to see it phase. I'm also with Councilor Clem. We need a budget. This is the night that we have to pass the budget because it has to be done before July 1st. But I would like to see these things called out, so I'm not facing a rash of emails complaining about this when I didn't even see it. I'm sorry, but thank you.
Well, I believe that it was detailed in the report, and maybe the city manager can speak to that a bit, and also to the actual dollars and cents. Rather than leave this as a vague, a lot of money, let's talk about how much is it really. Okay.
And the parking fund budget, and you're right, Councilor Bernard, you have a lot of information that comes at you and a lot of information from the departments. It is, if people want to look at the city budget on the website, it's on pages 179, 181, and 182 of the budget, the details. In terms of what it equates to, the $400 per year, on a per day basis, it's about $1.10 per day, which is less than 1 hour parking at a meter. And on $400 per year, it's less than a yearly permit for one parking space in a city parking garage. Those range from about $430 per year to, I think, $842 per year. So that's what it equates to, which isn't to say that it might not be difficult or people aren't concerned about it, but it's that ongoing issue of how do we put these funds in a more stable shape, and this is probably a shorter term solution as the council works on a longer term solution, but it's one that's needed for the next budget year.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Other council comments? Councilor Nanke.
Thank you, Madam. And that just brings up a conversation we had earlier. A lot of people had no clue. And typically, you see it when we do water sewer rates, and you see it with the budget. When it goes into place, we're trying to budget almost a year in advance to know what's coming at us. And people have less than a month when we do this to actually make adjustments to their business operations. And that's really difficult. And it'd be nice to see if there's a way for significant, we're doubling this for you, or move the water sewer rate conversations up earlier so people have 4, 5, 6 months to adjust. But to flip cash flow like that, if you're sitting there on the border, we had people emailing that I'm going to have to do something because I'm going to have to let somebody go or reduce their hours. It affects people's livelihoods, and we need to be respectful and responsive to that.
Other council comments? All right. I think we're ready for the vote. I will close the public hearing. Councilor Bennett, do you have a motion?
Madam Mayor, the motion's on the floor.
Oh,
Sorry.
thank you
You bet.
for refreshing my memory. All right. We do have a motion before us, and I do remember now. Councilor Bennett made the motion, and Councilor Tessler seconded the motion. All right. The motion was to adopt the staff recommended city council, the city of Salem budget. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Thank you. Our third item for public hearing actually is a continuation. I believe Councilor Bennett might have a motion on this item.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I move staff recommendation.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilor Bennett and
Just a minute,
seconded
Madam
by...
Mayor. I said that
I'm
wrong.
sorry.
I just
Yeah,
misspoke
Yes,
myself.
all right. Okay.
Whoops. That sounded too easy. No way. Okay. Madam Mayor, I move continuation of this hearing for 6 months.
All right. It's been moved by Councilor Bennett and seconded by Councilor Nanke to continue this hearing for 6 months. Is there discussion?
Madam Mayor, I don't know, no one signed up for this, I guess.
No one has signed up.
Well, next, we'll expect in 6 months, maybe the Statesman Journal will show up on this. I had a conversation with Steve Silberman about this issue, as I have every 6 months in advance of this coming before the council over the past couple of years, in order to go over with him his and his organization's successes and failures as they toss plastic-wrapped stuff in people's yards and on their driveways. He knows what our kind of our expectations are, that we won't see these piling up because people are on vacation, that if residents contact his business and say, I do not want this unsolicited material tossed into my yard, driveway, or onto my porch, they will respond by removing them from the list. And he understands that if at some point we determine there are enough there's enough public concern about this and we see enough of a problem, we can enact an ordinance which is somewhat restrictive in terms of their ability to continue this practice. We have had, I can report to you, I'm sorry Brady isn't here, but we've had mixed success. My favorite story is Brady Rogers, our code enforcement officer, suddenly became eligible for this to be delivered to his home, and they missed. Got it in the wrong place, which I thought was ironic. I thought it was ironic as dumping it in the driveways of city councilors, toss it at the code enforcement guy. We went over that, had a discussion about it. And so what I'd like to do is continue to work with the Statesman Journal on this. The newspaper business is changing. I think we ought to be sensitive to the fact it's changing and how much longer this kind of material will even occur. But Mr. Silverman, I can report to you, agreed that he has no problem with this as an ongoing reporting. We don't have a wild rash of complaints. He reports they don't have a lot of complaints, but if they do get them, they treat them as a priority, except for Brady's, who apparently just ain't doing well with this one. So I hope you'll agree to continue this for 6 months, and we'll have another go at it in 6 months.
All right. Councilor Nanke.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And at one of my neighborhood association meetings a couple of weeks ago, I asked about this, knowing it was coming up as well. And I would agree with the mixed success portion. I know that I've seen on one pathway very limited occurrences of these unsolicited materials laying about. Other people, it's like, yeah, I can tell when my neighbors are on vacation. So there's still an issue out there. And just to follow up on front-end conversation, in our additions, we did have communication testimony from Statesman Journal, just in the respective disclosure. So, yeah, I'm good for keeping it out there. It sounds like they're doing some good things in regards to controlling their contractor that's playing with that as well, but I think we still have just a little more to go.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. Any further discussion? All right. Then the motion is to continue for 6 months. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Opposed say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And our fourth public hearing, item D, is a continuation on the Salem River Crossing Preferred Alternative. And I believe that Mr. Fernandez is poised and ready and will be able to really to give us an update and where we are in the process, what it is that's before the council tonight. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. Peter Fernandez, Public Works Director. What I have prepared for you tonight is very simply a summary of what we have termed the Salem Alternative, which is the result of many, many months of work by the council and listening to the public and working through the issues that were presented with respect to the preferred alternative to come up with what staff believes represents all of the council's concerns in a new alternative, the Salem Alternative, that we hope you will consider this evening. So what we have here is the summary of the Salem Alternative, and I will just go through it. My presentation just very much mirrors the staff report. So the first recommendation is that the City Council rejects Alternative 4D as the preferred alternative. And this is a very important part of the recommendation because you'll see in the staff report that there's no comparison between the Salem Alternative and Alternative 4D, and we're very careful to do that. by recommending that you simply reject 4D, then we can build the Salem alternative and have it stand on its own. Second recommendation is that the City Council support the Salem alternative as it's been laid out, both primarily in text form and then in a summary form in the graphic. And then the staff also recommends that the council urge that ODOT continue to maintain the Marion and Center Street bridges. This virtually goes unsaid. Salem does, or ODOT does an excellent job of maintaining these facilities, but it's an important component of recognizing that these facilities will continue to serve an important transportation function for the community tomorrow, and even when and if we build another facility, these facilities will continue to serve us for many, many more years. Then very briefly, there is in the facts and findings of the staff report, after some goal statements about the Salem alternative, there's some very specific descriptive criteria, and I summarize them here. The first section is the bridge structure, and the staff report for the Salem alternative speaks to minimizing the piers in the water, having no more than 4 general purpose lanes on the bridge, assuring the inclusion of bicycle and pedestrian facilities, and considering a signature bridge design that incorporates these other criteria as part of the design of the bridge structure itself. The second section of the descriptive criteria speaks to the elements of West Salem. The first is constructing Marine Drive Northwest consistent with what's in the Salem Transportation System Plan, which is what you see in orange in your in the figure. Constructing ramps connecting Highway 22 to Marine Drive at Glen Creek Road. And we recently included another element, and this was a last-minute addition to the Salem alternative that came up at one of our last meetings, to include bicycle and pedestrian facilities as a part of those ramp structures so that we can connect the Edgewater Greenway to Wallace Marine Park for bicycles and pedestrians. And if we're building a structure there for automobiles, it really is not a big deal to add a pedestrian and bicycle facility piece as well to that structure to improve that those movements. The third bullet is to relocate the Highway 22 interchange from Rosemont Avenue to Eola Drive. And what that does is it actually helps to assure the last bullet, which is to minimize the right-of-way acquisition along Edgewater, but more importantly, it makes Highway 22 and all of the improvements that are the Salem alternative accessible to the residents of West Salem, so that Highway 22 is usable for West Salem residents to shop in West Salem commercial districts, as well as to have access to the new bridge location. In the North Salem area, on the Pine Street area, the descriptive criteria includes minimizing elevated structures in the area, integrate the bridge landing and ramps into the existing and very well-developed grid street system, maintain multimodal connectivity along Front Street, design at-grade bridge access ramps that facilitate regional traffic to and from Salem Parkway. And this serves 2 purposes. The first purpose is there is still about 35–40% of the traffic that is regional traffic that's either coming through the area on the bridges or has an origin or destination in Salem that has a regional destination or origin. So it's important, one, to facilitate their movement, and second, and perhaps more importantly, to not have them go through the neighborhood, through the Highland and Grant neighborhoods. So by providing that street facility that we've talked about in that area, it will do that for us. Generally, we want to make sure that we conduct the bridgehead refinement studies over and above what the environmental impact study provides. We want to make sure that we zone and properly plan for the urban redevelopment potential and the economic vitality of both bridgeheads, and that we acknowledge the need for not just local funding for these facilities, but federal, state, and regional funding for these facilities as well. Just some small things to remember. The first thing is that this is all about planning for the future. We are in the middle of a process that will lead back to this council in about 2 years, maybe a little less, so that we can amend the Salem Transportation System Plan that will acknowledge the final environmental impact statement and then achieve the record of decision. And then beyond that, then how we fund these improvements. Also want to remind you that the project is severable. There are really 3 key components to the project: the Highway 22 improvements, the Marine Drive improvements, and then the bridge structure itself. We will initiate construction of the Marine Drive improvements within the next few years, as we have money in the Streets and Bridges bond funding to start that piece of it. So that piece that is separate and distinct will actually get underway here very shortly. And then finally, once again, our good friend Winston Churchill, we're at the end of the beginning. So I wanted to show you, in fact, there's another dot there. This is a very simplified graphic that shows you where we've been for the past 6 years, and we're right in the middle and waiting for council to make a decision so that it, again, can go back to the oversight team. So the staff recommendation very clearly states that this is direction from the council to Councilor Clem, who will then carry the message to our partners. I can tell you that our partners have been watching this process very closely. I know we've had commissioners at a number of Polk and Marion County commissioners at neighborhood meetings and other meetings, and they are well aware of the Salem alternative and will be considering it very soon as they vote on this and send their representatives back to the oversight team. So with that, I give you the Salem alternative, and if you have any questions on what's in the staff report, I'll be happy to answer your questions.
All right. This is a time for questions of staff. Are there questions from any of our councilors?
I'll start.
All right, Councilor Bennett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Fernandez, is this a vote to build a bridge?
No, sir.
Thank you. That, to me, is one of the most confusing elements of this entire discussion. I keep looking at this. This is what? What is this?
This is a planning process mandated by the federal government, and what the council was asked to do, actually looking back at the staff reports last April of 2012, was to consider the preferred alternative and to comment back on the preferred alternative for the environmental impact statement. Council has taken its time to consider it, has taken a tremendous amount of testimony on the process, has had a tremendous number of meetings, and what is before you is the result of those considerations. This process is, and even when it comes back to you for amending the Salem Transportation System Plan, and we have a record of decision, this is what I have termed a license to build a bridge, no different than our master plans for parks, for other transportation facilities, for water and sewer facilities, for the airport. We have a plan. It's our vision for the future, and then the next step is to find the funding for it and then move ahead with design and construction when the community is ready to do that.
Just one more. Despite its really unfortunate designation on our agenda as item 4D, a moment of irony, right?
A gigantic moment of irony.
Could you, when you say that this alternative rejects 4D, does that instruct this oversight committee not to send us back a 4D? That's the process. That's the part of the process I get most confused by. We're responding to somebody else's idea with our idea, which is very, very different, very scaled back. What if they send us back 4D? They've done that before,
right?
Or sort of done that before.
Right.
What
So what's going to happen is that when it comes back, if the oversight team, and there is virtually no chance of this. So let me stress. But let's say that 0.1% happens, and the oversight team says, I don't know what Salem was thinking, 4D is it. The federal environmental impact statement process requires that this proposal then come back to this body, and this body amend its transportation system plan to adopt it. into it. So I told this council at our very first work session last November, you hold all the cards. If what comes back is 4D or some semblance of 4D, then this body can simply say, we are not amending our transportation system plan, and it's over. So there is the final step, and you continue to hold those cards, all of them. It would be ill-advised of a body to, as part of an EIS process, to send out a preferred alternative to the elected body of a community, the only community that's impacted by this facility. This body take all this time to set up alternative 4D, send it over, and the oversight team, the consultants, the Oregon Department of Transportation simply say, now we won't buy it. I mean, it doesn't even live up to the spirit or the letter of the law of what the EIS process is about.
Okay. Thank you.
Councillor Tessler.
Thank you. I have a question for Mr. Fernandez, too. So, Mr. Fernandez, when I receive my property tax bill, which I forget when it comes sometime this
November.
year. Thank you. And when I open it up and examine it, as I always do, will I find a line item on my property tax bill that says $225 for the Salem Bridge crossing?
You will not, and you will not see that until such time as the people of Salem vote for funding this project sometime in the future. And that would require that this council refer some portion of this project to the voters, and then the voters would have to approve it, and then only after they approve it would you see it on your property tax bill. So you will not see it in November of 2013, or 2014, or 2015, or 2016. Or 2033. So.
All right. Are there further questions of staff? All right. Apparently none. Fine.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your thoroughness and really appreciate the many times that you came with us and out into the community. I think that those meetings held across the community were particularly helpful to the public trying to understand the complexity of what it was we were doing. I appreciate the extra time and the effort that the staff have put into this, as I do appreciate the hard work that the council has done, really studying this issue, talking with one another out in the community, listening, so as to be able to come tonight to a decision that we all will know when we vote that we're voting in a very informed environment. And I think that's probably the most crucial thing as to the vote. It's not how you vote, it's are you voting with knowledge and true intelligence on it. And I'm very pleased to say that I think this council will be. So we are ready, and we'll close the hearing, right? We're now closing the hearing, and we're ready. Councillor Clem.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'd like to offer staff recommendation that move staff recommendation that City Council authorize Councilor Clem to provide the following feedback to the Salem River Crossing Oversight Team and report back to Council on the results of the Oversight Team preferred alternative deliberations. Number one, that City Council rejects alternative 4D as the preferred alternative. And number two, City Council supports the Salem alternative as described in the facts and findings section of the report. Furthermore, recommend that Council authorize the Mayor to sign a letter to the Oregon Department of Transportation to urge continued attention to maintenance of the Center and Marion Street bridges to ensure ongoing safety of these facilities.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second. All right. It's been moved by Councillor Bennett, and I heard second by Councillor Benars. Is there discussion? Councillor Clem.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you to the thousands of citizens for getting involved, for providing us your perspective, for giving us ideas that we used, limiting Marine Drive. I'm giving examples, but developing a signature bridge, one that hopefully will look like the Minnow Brown Island Bridge. Not that they all have to match, but something that we can be proud of. Alternative 4D was not what Salem wanted, but now Salem, through an arduous process, has come up with what it does, or at least a majority wants. This has been a question that's been asked several times in the last 40 or 50 years, and we're finally, at least in terms of planning and in comments to DEIS, saying yes. I would be remiss if I didn't mention one of the great heroes of regional cooperation, a guy who bent over backwards to make sure that he always asked the question, what can we do to help this community with their project? What can we do to help this community with that project? And that was Commissioner Mike Probst. He was a giant in helping us all learn at the local official level that we really do need to be concerned about things that affect the region and how do we help each other. And so I just want to give great credit to visionaries that helped us get to this point of at least in the DEIS of saying yes. Madam Mayor, we aren't building a bridge, but I think through this process, I've never felt more connected bridge-wise to a lot of the public, a lot of the neighborhood associations, but really with the council members. This really is a council of collaboration, and I would wholeheartedly recommend that everybody vote yes on this.
Thank you very much. Councillor Benars and then Councillor Clausen.
I've had the joy of being married to a mental health counselor now for 30 years, and she often reminds me that sometimes when people say they haven't been heard, that the best thing you can do is reiterate back to them what you have heard. I can assure the citizens of this city that I have read countless pages, countless emails, I've had phone calls, and I have read through everything. I haven't memorized it all, but I assure you I have read everything. The fact that we may not have said something to you personally that said, you know, I can't reiterate to every individual that's out there, but the fact is if you look at the plan and the alternative from 4D to the Salem alternative, we have tried to listen. We've tried to do things that let you know we're here and we're trying to take your concerns in mind when we're making this plan. So I again want to thank everybody who had an input into this thing, and I think this is not the end of the inputting part. As we see how things settle out, it's out of our hands after tonight, and there's still a place for input on changes as we see. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Clausen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm definitely in support of the Salem alternative as presented in the staff report, and I think one of the most important things, echoing what Councilor Benars just mentioned, is I was really actually very impressed at the public process. I'll tell you, I, for one, changed my view a lot on this. I was ready to go with 4D. I mean, I was set. I was ready to go, and then I heard a lot of people bring in a whole lot of really good points about West Salem. The latest ones that came up are about East Salem and about what the impact is to the neighborhood and the area of town and the future. And I'll tell you what, it's a big deal. And our public process, I felt like, worked extremely well. We had very good input. We had very good feedback. And, you know, we had feedback all over the board. We had feedback from the just totally support it, I'll support any bridge I can see, to, you know, kind of in the middle that, hey, I like a bridge, but here we need to get some of these things fixed, to just a no build. We don't want that in the community. And, you know, I think we really weighed in a lot of outside opinions. And I'll tell you what, I can't wait for you to say it, Mayor, but it is a collaboration city. We are the collaboration capital of Salem, and we did well with this. And I think not just we, the council, but we, the community, did well. And there was a lot of good feedback, and it was a very good process. Sometimes these public processes are arduous as a councilor and as somebody giving input, and it went well. I appreciate what we did, and I'm in support of what we did and all the changes that were made to the alternative to make the Salem alternative. So, thank you.
Thank you. Other councillor comments? Councillor Dickey, I don't want you to feel estranged because you're only away from us physically, but you are on the phone. Did you want to make any comments?
Yes, I do. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Yeah. I just want to echo the collaboration sentiment. First of all, I really want to thank all of my fellow councilors for listening. I know that This is something that I've been hearing about for a very long time, probably 6 years, as I've been in the neighborhood associations and when I first got on council. And I really appreciate the councilors who maybe weren't familiar, and you also, Mayor Peterson, maybe not familiar with the area that the bridge would go and kind of the neighborhood makeup. And so I appreciate you all listening and incorporating what you were hearing, not only us, other counselors tell you, but what you were hearing our residents and our neighbors tell you. So I really appreciate that. I appreciate staff who went the extra mile, early morning meetings, late evening meetings, neighborhood association meetings. Peter Fernandez and his team just really went the extra mile for us, and City Manager Norris as well. So I just want to thank you for that. I know that we're not by any means done with this process, and there may be more to come, but I just, in the last couple of months, all the time that's been put in, I so appreciate that. And I really want to say how much I appreciate the public who provided input on this issue. You did give us a lot of ideas that some of which we were able to incorporate. I welcome more ideas as we move through this process. There will be opportunity as we do the bridgehead studies, and as we, at some point, if we get to a design, there'll be more opportunities for public input. So I appreciate the public. I feel like we really did listen. We were able to scale this back from a freeway to something that really will serve our community. It's not just going to serve our vehicular traffic, but it's really going to create a great connection for people using public transportation, people cycling, pedestrians, at some point. But we're not there yet, and we've got a long ways to go. So, but I feel like what we've come up with is something that's really Salem scaled. And again, thank you all for your collaboration and listening to our neighborhood.
Great, thank you. Other council comment? Councilor Nanke.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. 7 months. I think we've given this adequate hearing, and that the concern is always trying to reach the citizens of Salem to actually let them know what's going on. But this has been a very long process. I'm sure there are tons of people still in our community who have no idea what we're doing here tonight, much less over the last half a year. And that's distressing. I can see the 4D option as it was presented to us, coming from a bunch of traffic wonks. It made good sense. It lets our people cross the river, and it lets people who have no desire to be in Salem to move through without stopping. And I had a lot of support for that until you looked at the price tag that was associated with that. And as we moved through that and brought it down to a Salem scale, we will accept someday more congestion for a reduction in price. That congestion, again, is short-lived during the day. It's about options. It's about multiple ways to get places in the city. Even if we retrofitted the Marion and Center Street bridges, you don't know what's going to hit, how it's going to hit, and whether or not something's going to stand up. The more options we have down the line, the better, in my opinion. That being said, we're picking the pathway. I see the voters turning this down a couple of times in the future until it has reached the point where the citizens are not willing to live with the congestion anymore. That balanced with the fact that it will suck up a ton of our bond monies, and what do we do about the rest of our streets and bridges in town? We talk about police facilities, park facilities. That balance on the cost on this, depending on what our share ends up being, there'll be some hard decisions for future councils, staff, and our citizens to make. So I don't see this happening for a very long time, but we have to finish the process to say this is where it will be at that time. So I wholeheartedly support the Salem alternative.
All right, other councilor comments? Councilor Bennett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I agree with Councilor Nanki's analysis of how the votes will go in the future on this for a while. To me, there are two really important things here. One is we absolutely reject 4D. That concept of a freeway through Highland and West Salem, I think, was a disservice to the process. But this is such an odd process. This is not one councils normally run into. We're used to, you sort of start with a general idea, do lots of public hearings, public engagement to sort of build your idea. This one, we had really overbuilt idea laid on us as the template for discussion, which I thought was really unfortunate. All the ramps and the overflights, the longest viaduct in the state of Oregon. I mean, it just sort of went on and on. I mean, it was, for me, an absolute, I guess traffic highway wonks is a way to describe it. That and apparently some big-time concrete salesman, because this thing was just huge. I am so pleased that we've been able to scale it back through, I think, an understanding with the public that what they saw was the same thing, and just way too big, way too overdone, that this has been scaled back, that this will be built in pieces. Marine Drive in just a couple of years, hopefully the connection to Highway 22. Ultimately, with the public's okay and additional regional financing, it will have an additional bridge. But the other part that I thought was very important, I hope your letter, Madam Mayor, is very strongly worded to ODOT, that this isn't going to happen right away. This is going to happen sometime, best case, when you sit down looking at this kind of, 10 years, just best case. It feels, and I think longer. Yeah. They have got to maintain and upgrade those bridges, and I think in the meantime, councils have a responsibility to continue to look at improvements on the traffic flow on and off those bridges. We just got to keep building that up, making that better, making it safer, making it stronger. We're not going to rebuild them to an earthquake standard today. I've read that in some comments, but that just building 2 new bridges, so we can build 3 new bridges under that scenario, but that be very strongly understood by ODOT. I think that's very important to people to understand. This isn't walking away from our existing bridge system. We're going to live with it for many, many years, and it just has to be improved. So I'm going to vote for it. I would not have voted for it until it got to this point. I really was kind of, shocked, and I guess to me it's important because so much of this is occurring inside my ward. There isn't much of it that isn't. No. The bits that aren't are in Councilor Dickey's ward, and I just appreciate again very much that other councilors heard the same message I did. That they heard the message that I'd heard for the past 7 years and the entire bridge development oversight, all these other activities that went on developing the draft EIS, and that they were willing to adjust this thing because I think now it at least reflects a reasonable vision. I don't think it'll ultimately look exactly like this. I think it'll be different, it'll be smaller, it'll be on a lesser scale because of the economy, but I'm fine with voting for it, yeah, I appreciate a couple of things I want to mention. Mayor, I appreciate very much your leadership. Certainly the work done by Mr. Fernandez in working with us. These are very difficult issues for laymen to deal with, and he was consistently helpful to us. I really want to thank I thought the folks opposed to the bridge, some of whom are here, I thought Mr. Bassett, who sort of led that, helped me bounce ideas off of this whole discussion. I thought it was helpful. And I think that it's important that we respect each other in these discussions, and I felt like I have found consistently in working with people wherever they are on this bridge, both very strongly for 4D, or, you know, don't build any bridge and knock the old ones down if you can, and we'll all ride buses and bikes. But I thought it was really a good community discussion. I'm glad it's almost over at this point, and we can move on to the next big thing that'll get everybody excited. So I'm ready to go. Thank you.
All right, other comments? I'd like to make a couple of comments, and one is that I will be supporting this motion. And two things that I hope that this council and future councils will hold as very core values is that we recognize the livability on both sides of the river, and that we recognize the economic development opportunities that will exist because of the way we are now looking at this crossing and looking at the neighborhoods and looking at the access streets. And I believe that as we have described it, and as you see it before you tonight, it truly does create certainty for property owners and for potential developers. It creates certainty for the neighborhoods. And I know that that was a very strong element that was brought to me again and again, was a concern about, well, if we make a certain decision now, are we simply putting a cloud over a property that's detrimental? I think what we're doing is creating certainty if we pass this motion tonight. And the other thing that I want to celebrate, I hope I'm alive when it happens. I might be in a wheelchair or a walker. I want to see the people from Northeast Salem go across that bridge and meet the people in West Salem. I want to see the people from West Salem go across that bridge and meet the people in Northeast Salem. I want them to feel connected. I want them to feel like they are not in separate universes any longer. I want them to go back and forth across that bridge and utilize and enjoy the facilities that are on both sides, and particularly the access for people from Northeast Salem to go over to be right at Wallace Marine Park, and from that park right on to the connection that goes to Riverfront downtown and on to Minto. I just feel that that is a tremendous opportunity that, frankly, people in Northeast Salem had not had, and they have not had a connection to some of our greatest resources, and I see that as a real plus, and I'm very supportive of this motion for those reasons. Okay, are we ready for the question? All right, the motion before us, moved by, thank you, moved by Councillor Clem and seconded by Councillor Benars, is to support the staff, to approve the staff recommendation for the Salem alternative as described this evening. All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed say no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for sitting this long this evening for this very crucial vote. I'm going to give everybody a chance to get up and move around, or those who are ready to leave the chambers to do so, and then we're going to get right back onto our special orders of business.
We have cake for our retirees.
And we do have cake for the retirees. I see the cake over on the side, so please don't be shy. Have some cake and have a chance to chat with them.
Very good.
All right. which was special orders of business. So let's see, we're still missing a couple people.
They're right up here.
They're right up here. Okay, here they come. All right.
Dan, quit gabbing, come on.
All right.
Oh, look, I just got it.
You're the one making this motion. Special interest is you.
All right, we're back to order, and we have several issues under the special orders of business because we had some items pulled from the agenda. And see if I can go back and see which items those were. And Councillor Bennett, if you can help me.
Yes, Madam Mayor, it
Yes,
was...
do you have your list?
I do. It was, what ended up being finally pulled for action under special orders is 3.30.
All right, 3.30.
Councillor Tessler.
Pulled by Councillor Tessler. Yeah. All right, Councillor Tessler, do you have a motion or a comment?
I do. I'm going to move staff recommendation.
Second.
Okay.
right.
This is real quick, and my only comment is that I really was impressed that this person is bilingual in Spanish and actually has quite an extensive resume with Spanish. And I'm going to tell you that if I was in trouble and I was in the court talking to the judge, it would be real nice if I could just talk to the judge and the judge could just talk to me and there was no need to go through somebody else. So I think that's a very useful thing to have, is to have somebody who does speak Spanish, because that's a widely spoken language here. It might even be good to look into maybe somebody who speaks Russian or something like that. But I just thought that was a really good move to appoint this person. I really like that. I just wanted to comment on that. That's all I had to say.
Thank you. All right, then do we vote? We vote on this motion separately, right? All right, it's been moved by Councillor Tessler and seconded by Councillor Nanke. Is there further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. I believe that we had 3.2P, as in Paul, pulled by Councillor Dickey.
Madam Mayor,
correct?
yes, Madam Mayor, she has decided not to pull that.
Oh, all right. All right, so there are no other pulls? So we're-
Was it pulled at the beginning
There
of the agenda
was.
to where it just disappears if we don't do something? We have to move staff recommendation then. If it was pulled from the calendar, we didn't.
It wasn't pulled.
Oh, it wasn't pulled?
It wasn't listed. It was an earlier
Okay,
discussion.
and then the item 3.3, F and G, where Councillor Clausen had a conflict.
That was potential.
But he, a potential conflict, but he did vote, and so
Yes.
that's not on either. All right, so we're done then?
Yes.
Without an
With
ordinance.
special items? Yay. Well, that was fast. All right, we're getting really good at this, okay. And we have no unfinished business. There are no information reports tonight, and then we have some ordinances. So we're ready for first readings. Would the recorder please introduce or read the first reading?
Ordinance Bill Number 2513, relating to the historic districts and the preservation of public historic resources, amending SRC 230.005, 230.020, and 230.085, creating new provisions and repealing SRC 230.060.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Madam Mayor, I move staff recommendation.
It's been moved by Councillor Bennett and seconded by Councillor Benars to move staff recommendation. Is there discussion? All right, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And we have a second reading of Ordinance Bill Number 2113.
Ordinance Bill Number 2113, relating to performance security of public improvements, amending SRC 63.052, 63.053, and 63.360. And now I'll take a roll call vote. Councillor Benars?
Here.
Aye.
Councillor Clem? Councillor Clem?
Yeah.
Councillor Bennett?
Aye.
Councillor Tessler?
Aye.
Councillor Nanke?
Aye.
Councillor Clausen?
Aye.
Councillor Dickey is now absent. And Councillor Thomas?
Aye.
Mayor Peterson?
Aye. All right, motion passes. The ordinance bill passes. Public comment. We now have time For public comment, there are two people, Betty James and then Nancy Baker, is it? Croft. Croft? Oh, Croft. All right, thank you. All right.
If you think this
Welcome.
Is bad, if you think this is bad, you should see what I did to the other guy.
Well, we appreciate your coming this evening.
Thank you. I'm Betty James. I'm a nurse journalist. I inherited my childhood home at 2535 Laurel and Pine Street, and I understand I now have a new bridge. This is not part of the bridge discussion. This is a postmortem on process. I am filing a discrimination formal complaint with the Department of Justice about some of the ways things were handled in Highland regarding the bridge. I have given my letter of intent into the comment, but the filing is actually separate. And once it goes to the Department of Justice, they handle everything after that. But basically, this is what it says. Whereas the U.S. Department of Justice is charged to ensure fair and impartial administration of justice for all Americans, the City of Salem, Oregon should be enjoined from further expense and planning of a third bridge until in full investigation by the DOJ can be conducted to give equal protection from suppression of free speech and democratic participation regarding a probable third bridge of the Willamette River to Salem disadvantaged residents that may be poor, disabled, minorities, or seniors, or a combination of these four, especially but not limited to the Highland neighborhood, a large part of Ward 5, and especially Section 8 housing in Pioneer Village, also Ward 8 in West Salem. And as I was researching, I found an interesting tidbit that the Office of the Attorney General has a public comment line. That is 202-353-1555. And anyone who would like to write a letter of support or non-support to the Department of Justice or provide it to me directly, I could, will then get that additional information into the DOJ.
All right, thank you. Are there questions by any counselors? All right, thanks very much. We appreciate you coming down tonight. Yeah, Nancy Baker Croft.
Mayor Peterson?
Yes, welcome.
I've already had a chance to say hello, so I'll skip that.
Well, sorry for the confusion earlier in the evening for you.
I've had the experience of having to be into the late hours with you guys before, so I'm kind of glad the big crowd's gone. I didn't know it was the third bridge thing. They gave me a sticker. I thought maybe you were making me sit down because we're a sticker. Oops, sorry.
Okay. Sorry.
Well, I believe that I just heard one of the counselors say that he would be remiss if he did not. So I feel that that is my position today. I would be remiss if I did not give feedback to the council about previous motions that have been made in this body, with the exception of Mr. Clausen, I think it is, and now Ms. Dickey is gone. Everybody should know why I was here. Over the course of 8 years, the city council was asked to recognize that having a pet chicken was not a big deal and would not cause the city to come apart at the seams. It took 5 years, and then the city was willing to license chickens. It was a wonderful day. However, some of the sideboards that were created, I guess I'm just one of those nails that sticks up and gets their head hit first. So I'm the test case of how it plays out in the city. At one time, I had older chickens because I did start doing civil disobedience to try to be able to make the point that the laws of Salem were not clear on the subject of chickens. I took this all the way to the Court of Appeals. I'm very serious about this issue. It's not like a little backyard hobby of mine. To me, it was a very serious issue, and unfortunately, I'm the first person to lose their chicken license. Let me give you a little history. When your chicken is young, it has more strength. Maybe I should have been wise enough to clip its wings. But the chickens we got this last year actually had the ability to jump on the roof of my house, cross the roof, and come down the other side and get into the front yard. They did this during the time that I was asleep and that I was sick in bed. I don't feel that chickens have been running amok in the city. But if the city gets a picture and they show that your chicken has crossed the road, then you are stuck. You are found guilty. Upon 3 tickets, you receive a letter from Brady Rogers on behalf of Ms. Woods, who is not here today. And I was given notice that I would have the chickens removed within 10 days. And my license was suspended for 10 years. I paid my $50. I've tried to be a law-abiding citizen. I have photos to prove that the chickens went on their merry way, and they have since been killed by a stray animal in the neighborhood. A hawk, we think. So all the fencing didn't help. I built my fences up, and I tried to do my best to protect those chickens and to follow city law, and I think it is very much upon my need to explain to you guys that that's what's going on now, and that maybe this issue needs to be revisited, that the sideboards don't need to be that high. Maybe my roof needs to be higher, but the sideboards could be safely lowered. Thank you very much. My appeal is not available to me without $250, or I would be taking this to the city as an appeal. I don't have that kind of money. I'm indigent.
Okay. Thank you very much. Are there questions by councilors? Councilor Nanke.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And
Nice to
during
see
all
you
of our
again.
discussions and what have you, we talked about the enclosure and
Yes.
and how one should be supervising and containing their chickens.
Yes, sir.
Essentially, for them to actually be out, you would have to be in attendance with them. Other than that, they're required to be 100% enclosed. That means roofing or screening or something over the top of the facility. And so I'm assuming you had that not.
I admit that I changed the height of my structure, and I was not an engineer enough to figure out how to get the netting to go above the 9-foot door, and so that it was up above.
Okay.
And as I was
So
trying
it was
to get,
open on top
I was
somehow to
trying
where
to
they
get
could
some
fly
money
out.
to do the repairs that the city was asking me to do, and they slapped me with a second ticket in the same week before I had money to get the problem resolved. And I thought it was a matter of fencing. I made my fencing 7.5 foot tall, but it was the roof.
And I know that just as far as from a severity perspective, there was a lot of discussion on council at that time for fear of people pushing the envelope on the rules. It may not necessarily been in a case like yours, but they wanted, it's like if you screw up, you're done.
I have $1,000 worth of tickets that I owe the city of Salem because the chickens escaped.
Yeah, and they wanted purposefully high fees and the potential to remove that. And
I am requesting
Till we
that the
change
city.
that down the line, we'll have to look at history as we get in, because we're still only a couple of years in. I think I had my chickens right as the ordinance passed, and my girls are about 2 years and 2 months old right now.
2.5 years, it was January, yes, I remember.
All right, thank you very much. That concludes the public comment. And under new business, mayor's items, I actually have appointments to announce, and there are a couple that will require council action. And so you saw in your packet 10.1A, the boards and commissions that we're making appointments to. And the first two, the Board of Ethics and the Civil Service Commission, both of those positions, I understand from advice from the city attorney, need council action. So I will make a motion first for the Board of Ethics. I move that Cara Fisher be reappointed to serve a 3-year term expiring June 30th, 2016.
Second.
All right, thank you. It's been moved by myself and seconded by Counselor Bennett. Was that? Wasn't watching. Counselor Bennett. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And the Civil Service Commission, I recommend Nathan Nottingham for reappointment to serve a 3-year term expiring June 30th, 2016.
Second.
It's been moved by myself and seconded by Counselor Clem to reappoint Nathan Nottingham. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Other appointments being made, the Historic Landmarks Commission, you'll see Andrew Hendry and Jonathan Castro Monroy. And with both of those, I feel actually very pleased about those appointments. One, because the person is a younger person, he's 26 years old, which at my age, that's even more than, that's far less than the ages of my children. And one of our goals has been to bring a more diverse and a younger population onto our boards and commissions. So I'm pleased about that. And the second person being appointed to the Historic Landmarks Commission, Jonathan Castro Monroy, actually had a very interesting background, and he moved here from Mexico when he was 7 years old. Since that time, he's lived here in Salem. He's bilingual, and he certainly, he's a scholar student at Chemeketa Community College, and he is serious in his studies and serious about becoming involved in the Salem community, and so I think that that's a particularly strong appointment as well. In the Social Service Advisory Board, Janine Baker applied, and I recommended her application, her appointment. We need a United Way individual, someone from the United Way board or connected to United Way for that. Kimberly Occupy, also for an at-large position in the Social Service Advisory Board. We felt that she brought a particular dimension to the Social Service Advisory Board also because of the work that she has done. Senior Center Advisory Commission, we have an appointment for Beth Jackson and Paula Higgers, and both for one for the partner position and one for the at-large position. There are some positions that still remain open on our boards and commissions. We are very careful and very diligent in that committee, as those of you who serve on the committee know, and I appreciate every single counselor who is on that committee because each brings their own knowledge and their own connections out into the community, and I think that that has helped us to really bring about a more diverse, a younger, and certainly a very active additions to our boards and commissions. So with that, those are my recommendations for those positions and my appointments for those positions. We've already taken care of the counselor's item, and I see nothing else on the agenda, so we are adjourned.
You know, we really need to look at modifying our goals.